up, everyone? Today we're going to take a look at one of the most mysterious and most discussed characters in the Masters of the Universe line. Today we're going to take a look at the Savage He-Man, Wun-Dar. Alright, so here's Wun-Dar, and for those of you that aren't aware of what this guy is, or what his significance is, let's do a little backstory. So, back in the 80s, there was supposedly a promotion between Mattel and Wonder Bread that would provide fans with a special figure that was known as the Savage He-Man. He was a brown-haired He-Man. He had he looked like this, but he was, a vintage style. And there's a lot of discussion. I assume it's basically true at this point, but there was no records on Mattel's side or Wonder Bread's side as to whether or not this was real. And there are a lot of examples of it out there. And the most common example is one of a brown-haired He-Man, a little darker skin tone, with black Zodak armor and black Zodak gun. So Mattel, when they did the Masters of the Universe Classics line, decided as a nod to this, a legend or myth, whether it's real or not, and it's got to be real at this point, to make a new Wun-Dar figure, and they gave him that name, Wun-Dar, in honor of the Wonder Bread name. So we've got Wun-Dar here, and he sort of fits in the lineage of He-Man. He's supposed to be the He-Man that was He-Man prior to Adam becoming He-Man. He fits into the mythology a little bit weird because he's called the Savage He-Man, but he can't be the prehistoric Savage He-Man because that's Ular, which we'll talk about later on at some point. So he's the He-Man that had the powers prior to Adam getting them, and he has a different set of weaponry than what is most commonly associated with He-Man. So let's take a look at this guy. He's pretty much what you would expect. He's a recolored He-Man. He has that Masters of the Universe classic style He-Man head, but with brown paint for the hair. His skin tone is a little bit darker than He-Man's, and then of course he's got Zodak's armor, which is black, and some other accents are changed as well. So we've got the brown loincloth, we've got the black belt and wrist guards. Those are obviously different. And then we've got black boots. Those are obviously different because He-Man's are brown. The one thing that's different about the armor, though, is, as you can see, there's this circle with the 3 dots on it. This is the Wonder Bread logo. So they even took it a little step further to put that on there as a nod to the legend of this guy. So he's pretty standard as far as articulation goes. Here he is real quick with He-Man, so you can kind of see, what I'm talking about. Skin tone's a little bit different, but overall it's just a recolor variant figure. So as far as articulation goes, his head goes all the way around, and he's got a little bit of a rocker there, so he can look down and up just fine. Arms go all the way out, and then they've got rotation, and then we've also got a bicep swivel, single jointed elbow, wrist has a swivel. We've got an ab crunch. Mine doesn't really want to crunch. This figure is, what, 8 years old at this point? 7? He does have it, though, but the armor's going to get in the way. He does have waist twist, as you can see. Legs go all the way out. Thigh swivel. We've got a single jointed knee, so we've got like a right angle. We've got boot rotation, and then we've got the ankles with the pin that show, because this is the old style. And then we've got a little bit of a rocker. Mine are pretty loose at this point. He actually wasn't opened up until about a month or 2 ago. So he's been in box for years at this point. And he's okay. He's a little looser than I would have expected, though. So otherwise, he's pretty standard as far as Masters Classics go. Now, this is a He-Man figure, so obviously, whether he's the He-Man or a He-Man, however it works out, he's going to have a power sword. And I love the power sword this guy has. His is black and silver. It's got a black handle with the black accent going into the blade, and then the blade is the same silver that you get with a normal He-Man sword. As far as the additional accessories go, he has a black Zodak gun, which has a little silver on the end and just in a few other places. Pretty standard piece, though. He has got a half sword, just like all the other He-Men do, with the same design. And then the big accessory, or kind of the surprise accessory, is this thing. So he comes with a loaf of bread. Now, I don't know what you're going to do with it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's probably going to go in a bag somewhere and be stored. But another thing to add to the credence of this being a real, legend of He-Man and Wonder Bread is that they added this loaf of bread. So that's a pretty cool little thing. Obviously, it wasn't necessary for the figure, but I like the fact that it was included. It's a funny little addition to the figure. I would have been satisfied with just the black power sword, though. So they gave me everything I could have needed for this figure here. So overall, I really like this figure. I like the idea that he tells the story of the legend behind the Wonder Bread He-Man that kind of captured a lot of the Motu fans' imaginations for forever until it was, kind of put to bed. I like the presentation of the figure. I like the different colored Zodak armor we get. I like the different colored power sword. I do have the loose ankles, which isn't a huge deal. I haven't had a problem with posing them. It's just I feel like it's going to be an issue down the road. Now this was the first subscription figure for the Masters Classics line back it had to be 2010 to be the first one. So he's in a smaller supply than some of the others. You could have only gotten him if you subscribed at the time. So he's a cool first subscription figure because he's just an extra. You didn't have to have him for this line, but to put him in the line was a cool nod and a cool thing to do for the fans. So I really like this figure. He has a prominent place in my Motu collection for sure. So that's going to do it for this review, everyone. As always, stay tuned to Toy Bro. We've got tons more Motu coming. And feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know what you think of this guy. Until next time.